Welcome to Health for You. Today's topic is oil and how eating it harms people, particularly vegans. When a vegan discusses how they have a reduced chance of developing heart disease than persons who consume animal products or meat, they may quote the Adventist II study, which found that vegans had a 26% lower risk of developing heart disease than their neighbors who consumed meat. Or about the famous Oxford study analysis that claimed vegans had a 57% decreased lifetime risk of developing heart disease. Someone is always eager to point out that vegetarians can still develop heart disease. It's true, too. Vegans are not immune to harm. But how do vegans get heart disease at all if they are avoiding all cholesterol and the primary source of saturated fats, which are animal products? Oil appears to be the primary offender. Olive oil, coconut oil, and vegetable oils. I apologize. I wish there was another option. However, processed foods are just that, processed. Refined carbohydrates are well acknowledged to be unhealthy, but for some reason, people tend to dismiss the fact that oil is a refined fat. It is an upscale food. Additionally, oil has twice as many calories per gram as refined sugar for people worried about gaining weight. But there is oil all around. It covers almost all restaurant meals, and people spread it on everything they make. Imagine going to a banquet where everything was dusted with powdered sugar. Chipotle's rice and beans are dusted with powdered sugar, and you might also choose a kale salad that is dusted with powdered sugar. Beyond its high caloric density, oil is unhealthy for many more reasons. First off, LDL, bad cholesterol, the key risk factor and the leading cause of death in the United States, is typically increased by oils. High LDL is caused by oil, and heart disease is caused by high LDL. And the dark side is brought on by heart illness. Death, that is. People that promote oil as being good for cholesterol are likely misrepresenting the research. Like this one on naturally occurring coconut oil. It appears better. So you may portray it as a better option for health. However, the truth is that it increases LDL from the individual's baseline levels. Their LDL was increased by 10 points by coconut oil. Another more recent study's randomized crossover trial found that the participants' baseline LDL level was a somewhat high 118. When coconut oil was introduced, LDL increased to 127. Once more, the increase is roughly 10 points. Therefore, while butter will cause more heart disease in you, coconut oil will still cause some of it. And oil causes heart disease in more ways than just LDL. There are alternative approaches, and we can use olive oil as an example of one of them. We've been told for a very long time how healthy olive oil is, how it's the key to the Mediterranean diet, etc. However, even if researchers go into the field anticipating this study to be successful, contrary to a portion of our theory, our research revealed that ingesting olive oil damages arterial function, which is a major cause of heart disease. Dr. Michael Clapper did a study to show how harmful olive oil is to arterial function. He gave the participants some olive oil, inflated the blood pressure cuff for a while, and then deflated it. Instead of the expected rise in blood flow, there was none. Blood arteries in olive oil are paralyzed from their usual dilatation. It is not artery-friendly. The researchers discovered that eating a salad with olive oil partially blunts the effect of the Mediterranean diet, which led them to draw their conclusion. Therefore, rather than olive oil, it was likely the Mediterranean diet's high vegetable intake that kept them healthier than other populations. However, it goes beyond olive oil. According to this study, soy oil and palm oil have equivalent negative effects on the health of the arteries. And as this subsequent study examined, there is another element that poses a serious risk to your cardiovascular system. The activation of so-called coagulation factors, such as coagulation factor 7, occurs after consuming a heavy animal fat or greasy diet. This causes your blood to clot, which is beneficial if you have a cut and it's in the proper position and amount. However, inside your artery, it can result in a thrombosis or simple blood clot, which is what causes 99% of heart attacks and most strokes. A low-fat lunch does not generally increase factor 7, a high-fat meal does. Oil and animal fat can both produce lipemia, often known as sludge blood. Consume butter, olive oil, sunflower oil, or almost any other oil and the result is blood's oiliness, referred to as lactescence, which is somewhat similar to milkiness. The results of this study also demonstrate that angina events, a sign of coronary artery disease, occur at times when lactescence increases. More exactly, this quote is from heart.org. As is well known, lipemia strains your heart since it reduces the amount of oxygen it receives. Therefore, if you're going to suffer a heart attack, it will probably happen there. With a low-fat meal, there is no such lactescence or soreness. Oil also increases the risk of developing other diseases. This leads me to intramyocellular lipids, or fat inside your muscle cell, which is detrimental to diabetes risk. Neil Barnard explains it like this. Fat called intramyocellular lipids is found inside your muscle cells and is what prevents insulin from acting as a key to signal glucose inflow. Glucose is attempting to enter the cell from the outside. It needs a key to enter, and that key is insulin. In other words, a diabetic's insulin key is useless. What if I arrive at home and pull my key out of my pocket as I approach my front door? I placed it in the entranceway. Wait a second. It isn't functioning. And my key is in perfect working order? However, I notice that someone has placed chewing gum in my lock while I was away. It's not that chewing gum is present in the cell. Fat is what is present. Giving up animal fat helps with this, which is in part why studies have shown that vegans have a 60 to 68% lower diabetes rate than meat eaters. However, by this route, the oil may be the primary cause of diabetes in vegans. To put all of these diets into perspective, let's return to LDL. The optimal range for cholesterol is 50 to 70, and levels of 57 or lower practically don't cause heart attacks. Heart attack proof is 57 or below. A typical person's LDL puts them at high risk, as does the typical vegetarian. The typical American vegan is basically at its best. However, if you average all of the vegans in the West, you come up with a medium score of 90. Then there is heart attack proof, which is based on research of 57 or fewer. Consequently, if it is even remotely feasible for you, you should stop using oil. The only reason you wouldn't want to is if you weren't receiving enough calories on a vegan diet, especially if you're used to eating high-calorie density animal foods. It will undoubtedly make you healthier. However, you can simply swap those out with foods like almonds, avocados, and seeds to avoid using oil. However, if you're transitioning to veganism and you're feeling overwhelmed by how severely you have to limit your diet, I would advise against using any oil in the kitchen. I noticed a significant improvement in my skin after I stopped using oil when I used to cook. However, make an effort to avoid consuming oil. Okay, that's all I have for today. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done so. I appreciate your attention. Stay healthy.